Hey, good evening. I was having trouble getting on, so I apologize for that. It's Pastor Mary, and I wanted to just share with you. Sorry, I just got up from a nap. I was kind of tired. I was going to share some of my flowers with you all if I could. I'm not good. Oh, there it is. I think. Was I getting down to it? Some of my. I'm just not good at pointing this thing. I was trying to be better at it. I wanted to come outside, and for whatever reason, the iPad wasn't working. It wasn't letting me get on to do anything live, so I had to make it work. So, hey, good evening, Bill. Good evening, Cheryl. I'm sure Kathy is there too. It is a beautiful evening. My gosh, there is a wind. It feels like it's in the 70s. This is June. I love it. Good evening, good evening. I'm so glad you're here. Wow. And you can hear it ringing in the back. I have two of them. So this one is moving because of the wind. And let's see, and there's my other long one. And I love them. And I just love being outside. It's just so beautiful. So anyway, sorry. I thought my hair looked okay, but I don't know about it. It's kind of, it's a little bit crazy. So I was taking it. I got home, and oh my gosh, I was so tired. Have you ever had that? You just come home and you're like ready to drop. So I came home, laid down. I just got up, as you can tell, less than 10 minutes ago. So, hey, good evening, Peggy. How are you? It's nice to have you here. Hey, Betty. Good evening. Good evening. So I hope you all have had a great day. Cheryl, I hope the weather's great in Illinois. Hope you have been loving it. I just can't get over this. We were in the 90s, 2 weeks ago? And we've had some beautiful weather recently. And I'm loving it because usually it's so miserable and hot. And I shared last night we ate outside. We're eating dinner a little later tonight because our Synod Assembly, which is the gathering of the church, this year is online. Last year I don't think we even had it. I don't remember it. And it's Saturday only, but it's online. It's on a special platform. It's called Lumi. And so David got on to learn how it works and stuff. So that is all day Saturday for a tad warm. Oh, you're going to be almost 90 Saturday. Wow. We are in the 80s, which is really wonderful for here because it's usually, summer is so hot. Oh, wow. Hey, Janet. Good evening. Good evening. Well, Cheryl, I will hope you can find a cool breeze or a nice air conditioner to sit around and enjoy some iced tea. We will actually be here. We'll see if I can sit outside on Saturday because a lot of people mow their lawns and do stuff like that on Saturday. So that would make it hard to be out at least for the beginning. But our Synod Assembly starts at 9 in the morning, and I think it goes till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. We'll probably have an hour break for lunch, but we'll be doing that on Saturday. So what a fun way to spend Saturday. I won't complain, but Saturdays are great. I love Saturdays. Last Saturday was Molly and Justin's wedding, and so that was a big part of my Saturday last week. And so this week is Synod Assembly. So the next week I will be off. So that will be wonderful. I will be so excited to do that. So, well, yesterday I was talking about the book that our book group is reading called An Altar in the World. Absolutely wonderful book, A Geography of Faith by Barbara Brown Taylor. And as I shared then, and we'll say again now, she is one of my most favorite writers. And the chapter we just were talking about was reverence. And we were talking about reverence, the word reverence. Hey, good evening, Phyllis. Good evening. And I had shared a little bit, and somebody had said last night, they'd never had quite a good definition of reverence, but I'll share it again real quick. By definition, reverence is the recognition of something greater than the self, something that is beyond human creation or control, that transcends full human understanding. And then another quote about reverence is, reverence stands in awe of something. something that dwarfs the self, that allows human beings to sense the full extent of our limits, so that we can begin to see one another more reverently as well. I really love it. We had a really good discussion about it, about the things that make us reverent, talking about faith and growing up with a sense of reverence of faith. I know as a child, hey, April, good evening, good evening. As a child, I had a lot of reverence for church. It was a quiet place, and what else? And just there was a sense of mystery and awe. And when we would drive by church, we would always cross ourselves. I remember my mom telling us something about that. It was just a reminder of your baptism, because when you cross yourself, when you do that, and that's Lutheran, Catholic, Episcopal, anybody else that does that, it's just a reminder of your baptism. It's really what it is. So hey Jerry, hey, I hope the Van Gogh exhibit was wonderful today. We are going in August, so I'm sure a friend of mine went in Chicago, took a train down from Michigan, and said it was amazing. Had a lot of pictures up, and that's what made me decide to sign up to go. And I know we're gonna love it, and I bet you loved it today too. So and then it says reverence takes all kinds of forms, and then it says nature is a good place to start. We talked about that too, and I mentioned, and I'll mention again, that if you love the stars in the sky, that in August, around August 12th, my brother's birthday, that is a really great time to go out and observe the stars, because there's always shooting stars. There's a whole, it's the one, there's probably another time, but I know it's at least one time of the year there's a major amount of falling stars around the 11th, 12th, 13th of August. So then I said I wanted to share with you about, let's see, what was it? I think I had not shared the story. I shared one of them. But I think, let's see. I think I was going to share about the story of Moses, because she talks about the reverence of Moses. She says, so Barbara Brown Taylor writes this: reverence requires a certain pace. It requires a willingness to take detours, even side trips, which are not part of the original plan. And we talked about that, about have you ever had a detour or a side trip that you didn't go on, but that really touched you, or that you saw something that really affected you, and what was that like? And she says, early in the Bible, there's a story about Moses, who would turn out to be God's great partner in the liberation of the people Israel from bondage in Egypt. He was not that yet. He was still a fugitive from justice, hiding out in the Arabian desert to beat a murder rap back in Egypt. Remember that part of the story? Moses' life changed one day while he was tending his father-in-law's sheep. According to the storyteller, he had led the flock beyond the wilderness to Horeb, the mountain of God, when an angel of God appeared to him in a burning bush. The bush was not right in front of Moses, however. It must have been over to the side somewhere, because when Moses saw it, he said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up. The bush required Moses to take a time out, at least if he wanted to do more than glance at it. He could have done that. He could have seen the flash of red out of the corner of his eye and said, oh, how pretty, and kept right on driving the sheep. He did not know that it was an angel in the bush after all. Only the storyteller knew that. Moses could have decided that he would come back tomorrow to see if the bush was still burning, when he had a little more time. Only then he would not have been Moses. He would just have been a guy who got away with murder without even discovering what else his life might have been about. What made him Moses was his willingness to turn aside. Wherever else he was supposed to be going, and whatever else he was supposed to be doing, he decided to wait a minute. It could wait a minute. He parked the sheep and left the narrow path in order to take a closer look and a marvelous sight. When he did, the storyteller says God noticed. God dismissed the angel and took over the bush. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, saying, Moses, Moses. Here I am, Moses said, and the rest, as they say, is history. Before God asked Moses to do anything else, however, God asked Moses to take off his shoes. Come no closer, God warned him, not because the ground was hot, but because it was holy. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. Barbara Brown Taylor says this, I have never been presented with a burning bush, but I did see a garden turn golden once. I must have been 16, earning summer spending money by keeping a neighbor's cats while she was away. The first time I let myself into the house, the fleas leapt on my legs like airborne piranha. Brushing them off as I opened cat food and cleaned litter pans, I finally fled through the back door with the bag of trash my employer had left for me to carry to the cans out back. I could hear the fleas inside flinging themselves against the plastic so that it sounded as if a light rain were falling inside the bag. I could not wait to be shed of it, which is why I was in a hurry. On my way to the cans, I passed a small garden area off to the left that was not visible from the house. Glancing at it, I got the whole dose of loveliness at once. The high arc of trees above, the mossy flagstones beneath, the cement bird bath, the cushiony bushes, the white wrought iron chair, all lit by stacked planes of sunlight that turned the whole scene golden. It was like a door to another world. I had to go through it. I knew that if I did, then I would become golden too. But first I had to ditch the bag. The fleas popped against the plastic as I hurried to the big aluminum garbage cans near the garage. Stuffing the bag into one of them, I turned back toward the garden, fervent to explore what I had only glimpsed in passing. But when I got there, the light had changed. All that was left was a little overgrown sitting spot that no one had sat in for years. The smell of cat litter drifted from the directions of the garbage cans. The garden was no longer on fire. I think it ticks God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it, says Shug Avery, one of the wise women in Alice Walker's book, The Color Purple. Barbara Brown Taylor says, I noticed the color gold, but I did not turn aside. I had a bag full of fleas to attend to. While I made that my first priority, the fire moved on in search of someone who would stop what she was doing, take off her shoes, and say, here I am. Well, I love that. I love the story about Moses, and it's really a neat way to me to think about the story of Moses. You know, we hear that, and I mean, seriously, think about it. A burning bush. Amazing. I mean, God comes in such amazing ways. I mean, you know, I think about Jesus turning the water into wine, about healing all the different people, driving the unclean spirits out of the man and putting them into the pigs, which I have to laugh at being a pig farmer's daughter. I just think about that and I go, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Because I've seen pigs shook up before, and I've seen them, you know, fight with each other, and it seems like a few of those times that I remember, it was almost like they did have unclean spirits in them. I think about the story of the woman who has bled for 12 years and who says to herself, if I just touch the hem of the garment of Jesus, I will be healed. And that the story says when she touches Jesus's garment, the hem of it, Jesus feels the power go out of him. Can you imagine? Such great power. And that this woman could be healed by just touching the hem of the garment of Jesus. It is really amazing to think about. God is all around us. God is in these trees that I look at and in these flowers that I water daily. God is in the tiny little tomatoes that are coming up on my tomato plant. Somebody took those seeds and planted them and nurtured them and grew a small tomato plant. And I went to the store and put it in wonderful soil and gave it, and I continued the process that the first person had started. But I did not create the seed. God created the seed. God created the tomato. God created the flowers. God created my basil plant. I just tend to it. I put it in a pot. I give it water. I feed it so that it will grow. And when the tomatoes come, or I cut off the basil so I can put it on my pizza, I am eating part of the marvelous creation that God has made, and I am in awe of it. Yes, I helped to create a human being and carry that human being and bring two of those human beings into the world, but I could never have done it without God's help. I could never have done it on my own. And in fact, we struggle to do it on our own. And because of science, we were able to find out problems going on, which helped us to be able to have our boys. Paula Gerber, good evening. I'm glad you're here. I think about Paula and Jamie and others who have fought the good fight with cancer. And because of the miraculous drugs that have been created, I think about tamoxifen, which tamoxifen, I think it's still used. I know it's still used. It's given sometimes to women who've had breast cancer, and they take it every day for 5 years to help maintain them not having cancer. And tamoxifen is made from a plant that God created that has this miraculous ability to keep cancer at bay. I mean, there's so many things to be reverent of that God has created. How I don't have something in me that can keep cancer at bay for 5 years, but God created a plant that can do that, and created the scientists that found that, and that they were able to discover that it could be made into a medicine that could help women and men, because we've known men with breast cancer, be able to help it stay benign for 5 years and longer. And I am amazed. I mean, really, I am so amazed. And this chapter has been really wonderful. So if you want to read, this book is great to read a chapter at a time. I'll just say that. An Altar in the World, Barbara Brown Taylor. You can get it really cheap used. You can get it on your Kindle. But I would encourage you to consider picking it up. So chapter 2 is that. Chapter 3 that we are reading this week is called The Practice, of Wearing Skin. The practice of wearing skin. So I'm sure that I will have something to share with you from the chapter next week. I will tell you, I think about, I don't know where or when I heard this a long time ago, but there was a comment about, I love God, but I need Jesus with skin on. Meaning I need a human touch. I need someone that I can see. I need someone that I can talk to. I need someone that can hear me. I need to encounter Jesus in a human being. And I love that when it talks about the practice of wearing skin, right? Is that what I said? The practice of wearing skin. And I think about that. That we carry Jesus in us, and we bring Jesus to other people when we get out of the way. When we don't let all of our issues and our foibles and our problems drag down that spirit, that light that we carry in us. It's really, in a way, like that burning bush, Sometimes people look at us and they see it. They see Jesus in us. We carry that. And we carry the perfectness of God in our imperfection. And yet, we are a vessel, and God uses us for God's good and God's purpose in this world, so that others will know God loves them, God forgives them, God cares about them. And I just love this chapter. It just really, really touched me. So I would encourage you this weekend, If you're out at all, if you're walking, if you're sitting out on your patio, listen. Just, she talks about a way to experience reverence is to just sit by a body of water for 20 minutes and just be there. Some of you may live by a body of water. I don't have that good fortune right now. I miss that. I grew up on the Mississippi River, and I would go across the river, and it never ceased to amaze me. And now when I go home, and I cross the river, I'm in awe of it. It's such a powerful river, and God created it. So I want to encourage you, take 20 minutes, sit outside, listen, even with the lawnmowers, listen to the birds, and look at the trees and everything blooming, and just thank God for it. Thank God for the beauty around us, for the seeds that God has created that we nurture and can enjoy in our gardens and on our patios and on our porches and in our homes. Thank God for, Cheryl, you don't live too far from a lake. I love to cross it when we go down 55 in Illinois, just past Springfield. I can't remember. I don't think that's Clinton Lake. But I always love to cross it. I love to cross any body of water. I just love to look at it and think of, God's power in that. So if you experience God's reverence in the world this week, I will ask you next week, hey, share where you experienced that awe, that reverence of what God has created, or that you encountered in someone else, or that you experienced. And I really, really invite you to come along with me and to share that experience. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. I just asked for prayers that the Senate Assembly goes really well online this weekend. I asked for continued prayers for Pastor Nahali from my husband to Pastor David's church. She had a hip replacement. She's recovering well, but her son has now moved to New York City, and just praying that she's able to drive, but she's trying to get off a walker, get to a cane, so we just pray she'll be able to do that. I don't know how old Nahali is, but she's younger than me, so I think she's in her 50s. But I don't know, because I don't ask questions like that, because, you don't ask a woman a question like that, unless you're not thinking about it, but, so she needs prayer. Just a couple special intention prayers for several things going on with different people's lives. I definitely ask for prayers, and just for some things to be taken care of for several people who are going through different things right now. Yeah, and for strength for a person who's really trying to be there for their family member, and trying to do their best for them. And I just ask prayers for that as well. So that's it for prayer requests that I know of tonight. Let's see, tomorrow night is Friday night fun night. We're back for that, so maybe we'll be outside Friday. We did that outside a few times last spring, summer. If the weather's this beautiful tomorrow, I'll encourage David for us to come outside and have Friday fun night outside. Okay, so I hope you can join us. We will have worship inside at 10 a.m. on Sunday, David, anybody watching me is probably connected with St. John. So anyway, all right, well, listen, have a great night. Enjoy. You all have woken me up. So I'm awake from my nap, which is good, because there's things to do tonight. And I wish you a wonderful evening. If you're somewhere where you can enjoy the outdoors, enjoy them, and try to stay not eaten up by the bugs. You know how much fun that is. And hey, I've been waiting to hear the cicadas. It's been in all the news, and they're like, oh, they're coming to Georgia. Well, I haven't heard the cicadas yet. So if the cicadas are in your area, hey, let me know that. And I will hear the bullfrogs outside. We have a patch of trees and bushes across from our house, and back that way is a pond of some kind. And oh my gosh, it sounds like there's hundreds and hundreds of frogs out there at night in the summertime. And as I said last night, I am waiting to see my first firefly, and I haven't seen one. So I'm really hoping in the next few days there's going to be a firefly, because I love them. I love them. And I have such reverence of God creating them. They're one of my favorite creatures that God ever created. I just love their little glowy bodies. They're just so sweet, and they're just so neat. I don't know. I just love that light. So, all right. Well, listen, before we go, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Have a great night, everybody. Hopefully see you tomorrow night on Friday Fun Night. Take care. Have great sleep tonight. Great day tomorrow. And those of you watching tomorrow, have a wonderful day tomorrow too. All right. Good night.